I think what's hard is, just thinking about Matthew, Mark's, Luke's, and John's, that, but every single type of us, if we're narcissistic, if we're caught up in ourselves, we just up ourselves. And it doesn't matter which type of personality it is, none of us like that. And that, that's good, because we shouldn't like it, because it, and how do we learn to be otherwise? Actually, the way we learn it is by going inside and meeting with the Father. And you can do more superficial systems of that with psychologists and psychiatrists and self-help books and Buddhists and whatever. But how are we ever going to learn who we originally stamped by if we're slapping him in the face all the time saying he either doesn't exist or he's not a good father, and we're believing the devil's lies, and we're facing him like through a polythene bag? So we're actually communicating through shame, through fear or whatever with God the Father, who created us, who designed us from scratch, who knows exactly how we're meant to run and wants to live his life by each of us. Then you've got particularly three quartiles that want to live in the material world. They want to say that that's all there is. They want to measure everything by the inch, by the millimetre, by everything. They design everything, run everything in the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, run everything according to their left brain and their feelings as far as they see them, and they just call them pure emotions, chemical things that go on in the brain. And they want to run everything like that according to lists, according to designs, according to exact plans, and you're not allowed to go around their house unless they let you. And they live in compartments. They live so far, and you cannot get near me. I will present to you the personality that I want you to relate with, and they're quite happy to live that way. And then we go along and mess it up because we don't work that way. We're not running on the material outside in. We're running on truth and what our perception and inner seeing is out. And of course those two clash. But the worst thing is that the three quartiles say of us that we shouldn't exist. That there's something wrong with us, that our mental health is really poor, that we should go and see a psychiatrist immediately, that we shouldn't be our natural selves around them because it's like taking our clothes off. Or that we're childish because we're not playing the game. We're not playing the front game. We're not playing the mask game. And they love the mask game. They love presenting themselves to the world. They love presenting themselves to each other. But we realise it's a load of guff because we see through it. And we think, well, why bother? Well, let's just be us. And I don't see an easy way around this one, because we're going to have to learn how this thing all works. And so far, we've not done a good job. And the fourth quartile have been chucked away into garret houses, into roof dwellings, in the darkness, away from everybody else, up narrow passageways, poorly lit, poorly furnished, poverty situations, or shoved down to Cornwall, or shoved down to New Mexico. Just generally out the way. And God's saying no more. He's saying 1 Corinthians 12, verse 14 onwards, right through the chapter in its right context that's always read out in Anglican churches, of 1 Corinthians 13, which is on agape love. but they like that within their nice, manageable, acceptable liturgies and their services, so that when they go out, it's all irrelevant again. We're not going to play Anglican games anymore. We're not going to play Catholic games. We're not going to play even humanist games and psychologist games and psychiatrist games. They've got the highest proportion of people who commit suicide. That's how good they are. That's how much they've got it together. That's how much secular people have got it together. They need drugs when they get back from work to just recover. They need to smoke non-stop. They need drugs. They need sex. They need all this stuff just to relieve for the fact that the blooming stuff doesn't work. Secularism doesn't work. So that's why the church, the real one, the one that is more like Genesis chapter 15 of split open carcasses and Holy Spirit hovering like a torch supernaturally among them, is the pillar and the ground of absolute truth. Because everything else is crap. You can put on pomp, circumstance, we can all have a jolly nice knees up if a lot of us get together in a concert or some nice music or some various stuff, but none of us can live together, and that's got to stop.